This edition of MacVoices is brought to you by Take Control Books, the answers you need now from leading experts. Learn more and download yours at takecontrolbooks.com. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the Talk of the Mac community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, I'm happy to welcome back to MacVoices Dori Smith. She is the author of the new Dreamweaver CC Visual QuickStart Guide. She also has a different set of talents, and that's one of the other things we're going to be talking to her about. But I guess it's fair to call you a geek, Dori, wouldn't you say?
Well, my license plate says web geek, so I guess I admit to it.
Okay, so you're a self-designated web geek.
Yes.
Maybe not some of the other things, but web geek. It's great to see you. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about the new book first, and then we'll get into some of the other stuff. Dreamweaver CC, which obviously means Creative Cloud, Visual QuickStart Guide. The Visual QuickStart Guides are always terrific places to get started on things, obviously, because that's what they're called. What's the approach here? Is Dreamweaver in Adobe's Creative Cloud that much different that it deserves a new book?
Interestingly enough, what Adobe has found out that people don't tend to go from CS2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to CC, to 6 to CC. They tend to go like every other one or every second or third. So your average person going to CC isn't necessarily going to be coming from CS6. They'll have been on CS3, CS4, CS5. And so it's helpful to have a book to know not just what came out in the very last revision, but what's come out in the last few revisions.
Okay, that makes sense. It would be just like upgrading from any other version or a couple versions back. This one just happens to reside in the cloud.
Right.
Has Adobe done much in the way of updating the feature set of Dreamweaver from CS6 to CC?
I suppose I'm on the record here. They've done a great job of making their CSS tools more visual so that people who are visually inclined, your average Adobe CC user, can figure out CSS more simply and more easily and more elegantly. Beyond that, there's not a lot of new features, and they've removed a whole lot of stuff. So it could be rather a jump for people who've come from a rev or two back. A lot of stuff that's gone now.
Do you find that to be crippling, or do you find it to be enabling? Because sometimes, and especially with Adobe products, and there's no slander intended there, they seem to get feature and feature, and sometimes it's nice to clear out the cruft a little bit, boil it down to some of the main feature set, and start again.
Personally, if I never see another website designed with frames again, I won't be upset. And they've really de-emphasized the use of frames, and that's okay with me. As just one example.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's good. Yeah. It's funny, but I can think of quite a few pieces of software that could benefit from some trimming, because I think it would make it faster, make it more efficient, make the feature set that you want a lot more accessible.
Can you say Microsoft Word? Why, yes.
Who said that? I did not say that. I did not say that. That's great. So is the book out now, or are we impending?
No, it's about to go to print, I think, on the 1st. So it should be out in it should be on bookshelves in about a month.
Okay, great. Great.
So I've just got my last look at the index. And it should be out the door any day now.
This is the most recent in a long line of visual QuickStart guides and just tech books in general that you've done.
I've been working on Visual QuickStart Guides since 1997, I think. First one I did was JavaScript Visual QuickStart Guide, which we just did our 8th edition last year. And talking about doing the 9th, but don't hold me accountable on that one.
Right.
But the 8th is still a very good book, and it's going to be the current one for quite a while yet.
Do you still enjoy the writing process as much as you did when you started out?
I enjoy the have written process. Having written is, one of the great joys of my life. The actual writing, you kind of stare at the blank screen until blood comes out.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate the fact that you put that much effort into it for the rest of us.
Yes.
So, folks, if you want a book that has truly been blood, sweat, and maybe some tears, there you go.
Occasionally.
There you go. Of course, Dori, when we hooked up tonight, I did not realize that the book was being written, especially since it's not even out yet. But what I wanted to talk to you is something that I saw in your Twitter stream. You right now are seeking work as a community manager or an evangelist, and it really struck me for some reason that those are things now that I think a lot of people are not looking for the way they used to because they think they can do it themselves. We're in an era of social media, and so I think that everybody talks about, I want to build a community. Oh boy. And they don't understand what it takes to do that community. They think, okay, I'll put that on my things to do list, and I'll do it at between 10 and 10:15 tonight. And of course, first of all, they never get to it, and second of all, if they do get to it, they either do it inadequately or poorly or both. You think that's a fair assessment?
Absolutely. I think you just made some of my best points for me, so thank you.
Well, talk about what it takes to be first of all, let's start with community manager, what that means to you, what it means in today's world.
Well, the first thing is to listen. I mean, that's the most important part. It's the real reason why you can't just do it between 10 p.m. and 10:15 at night, because you have to spend your time listening to your community. And if you don't have a community, well, that's a whole other issue entirely. If you want to build up your community, then you really have to listen to who you have in the first place. Who's the community you want to have? Focus on that.
Okay, so if you listen, well, what are you listening for? Are you listening to what they want, or are you listening to them?
What do they want? What do they want from you? Maybe they want, more cat pictures. Possible, unlikely, but possible. Maybe they want what you think is your hot topic of the day, your hottest selling item of the day, especially if you're giving a price break on it. But in general, people want something in between the two. They want to feel like there's a person there behind this, not just random service drone. But they also just want an unbroken stream of marketing. So they don't want just marketing. They want to get more of a person behind it and have some, to get a feel of what it is like inside the company.
Marketing. That's something that I think a lot of people find it tough to resist. Because and there is a point where marketing, tech support, and just general discussion, I think probably the three overlap. But
it's not a bad thing. I mean, I'm saying marketing like it's a bad thing, and it's not. On the other hand, people who follow you on Twitter are not the type of people who want to know about the contents of every press release. They don't want to know every single thing. They'll find your press releases if they want them. If they want to follow you on Twitter, they want to find out what's going on with the company itself. The people behind the company. They're expecting, because of the way Twitter is, they're expecting more of a personal connection.
You're bringing up Twitter, but how about some of the other options out there? Facebook, Instagram,
Facebook, same thing. Because it's a very informal method of being in contact. People expect more informality than just, and here's our latest, press release on how we just put out the new Widget 2000 Pro. And people want to know, why they should care about the Widget 2000 Power Pro.
So
what's it going to do for them?
Yeah. So are you saying that, I guess, the marketing through feature set, the marketing through information is acceptable, but press releases are not?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I've had this discussion with a friend recently about a particular company's Twitter stream that is, in my opinion, it's just not good. It's not on topic. It's not on point. It's kind of not why I follow them. Mm-hmm. And I've compared that with some companies, and I'm thinking right now specifically of software companies, mm-hmm. and some hardware, that they stay on point. Is it marketing? Yeah, absolutely. Is it self-promotion? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's informative marketing. It's success promotion. It has so many aspects to it that I therefore stop and look at it. I may not click through on every link, but at least I pay attention, and I get a positive vibe on the company, as opposed to looking at another company and think, why did they tweet that? What does that have to do with anything? And I'm not talking about a breakfast tweet either. Just right. Something that if you're in the hardware business, why would you talk about a lawn care product?
If it's a lawn care product that changed your life, and one that made you revalue how you approach your own product, then I can see it. Because this also goes along the lines of blog posts from companies. I don't want to hear necessarily, we just released this. I want to hear the product manager talking about why we made the choices we made in this product or project. Because there's always trade-offs. There's always choices being made. Why did you make them? Give me some insight behind the scenes. And that gets me more involved with the company themselves. And that keeps me coming back to find out what else you might teach me about what's going on with your company.
Interesting word there, involved. Is that the objective here, or should it be the objective of some of these efforts to get me involved with the brand, with the product?
If your goal is to come up with a community, to have a community, then yes, you want people who are involved. Otherwise, it's just random visitors surfing through. And that's not a bad thing either, better than being completely ignored. But if you want a community, what you're looking for is people who will return, and they need some reason to return.
Let's talk a little bit about that, about community, about what that means. And I guess we'll talk about it in the realm of tech, since that's where most of our listeners can relate to it. There was a time, again, that your community, if you wanted a community, you had to do one of two things, and I think maybe you disagree, but you had to put up a set of forums of your own on your website and try to pull people in, or you probably had to start a mailing list to try to keep that back and forth communication going. Are those still the best ways or the only ways, or is it now viable to build a community around Twitter or in Facebook or wherever?
You can definitely do it whichever suits your customer's style. If you have questions that keep coming up over and over from your community, then you're going to want something like forums where people can go in and search for questions that have already been asked. So they don't have to keep re-asking you the same questions over and over on a mailing list, on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever. I'm a big believer in forums.
Any reason in particular?
Because I think that you end up with a community memory there. And then members also start helping other members. Because if you're there trying to find an answer to some problem, and you see somebody asking a question for a problem you've already answered, you end up shuffling some of your tech support onto your users. And that's ideal from a company's point of view, but you have to then reward those users too and give them some reason why they want to be answering questions on your behalf.
Isn't it sometimes just a matter of attention? That they like the attention?
Attention is one of the main reasons, but attention from the company itself is a big deal. If you say, thank you to the people who answered questions in our forums, we're going to send you all T-shirts that you can't get any other way. People love that. People really dig that. And they'll say, oh, I spent, so many hours doing it, and, all I got in return was a T-shirt, but, otherwise I wouldn't have gotten anything.
And there are people that'll wear that T-shirt and, proudly and say, hey, I got the exclusive T-shirt. You can't just go and buy this.
You can't not just anybody has this. Oh yeah. And then those people, those are your biggest evangelists. So those are people you want to have your T-shirt because they're out there evangelizing your product, because they're in your community helping the novices come up to be intermediate users. You want those experts. So you want to make it worthwhile for those experts to hang around in your community.
This edition of MacVoices is brought to you by Take Control Books, the answers you need now from leading experts. In Take Control of Your Passwords, Joe Kissel tells you what you need to know to protect yourself when you're online. Security stories seem to be popping up in the headlines regularly, with this breach, that compromise, this laptop lost containing so many thousand passwords, or that retailer losing an incredible amount of personal information. All that means is that security starts first with you, and the first place to start is your passwords. Did you know that a 9-character password is just not strong enough for really important information? That you can't manually devise a random password that is secure? Joe tells you what to do and how to do it, recommending software that used to be optional, but is now essential in the quest for online security. Joe explains why so much traditional advice, like changing your password every month, is ill-advised and out of date. Take control of your passwords now with advice from someone who spent hours and hours doing the research you need. Learn more and get your copy at takecontrolbooks.com. Take Control Books, the answers you need now from leading experts. Thanks to Take Control for their support of MacVoices. Dori, let's talk about kind of the dark side of this, and that is the horror stories we hear from a lot of people that run forums about the spam and the trolls and all of those things. Of course, we see YouTube. YouTube is a great example, I think, of bad karma. And I know that many of us that run our own websites and we have comments open, like I have comments open on my site. Some people have just shut those down because of some of these problems. That it just, and it's a shame, but it just becomes such a time suck to address them.
That's why you need a community manager. Why, thank you, Chuck.
So how does a community manager deal with some of that? Because obviously, first of all, it's time consuming, but how do you deal with some of that?
Some of it is just that spam breeds spam. Spammers see that somebody's spamming on your site, they're going to want to add their spam also. So if you can keep it clean in the first place, or get it cleaned out and then keep it clean, you're going to be less of an attractive nuisance. Plus, if they see that this is an active site where things are happening and people are reading posts, it's not going to be as attractive to spammers because they hopefully know, that it's not just going to be left there and abandoned. There's people caring for this community and keeping an eye on it. Spammers have gotten a lot trickier these days from automation, which if you have a good forum product, hopefully you are not just using something that's a few revs behind, and hopefully you're using something that does some of the automated work for you, spam-wise.
It's a big challenge because I know just my own very limited experience with some of the stuff. There was a time I just shut comments down because I just couldn't deal with it. And I'm not talking a lot of spam. I'm talking, 8, 10, 12 a day. But 8, 10, 12 a day, that takes time to clean out. And, at some point you just say, look, that's enough. If you want to talk to me, send me an email through, my link on the website. I'd much rather have you commenting, and I have some things in place now that hopefully leave that option open. But it's a terrible time suck, and somehow if people are doing it themselves, it's the last thing they get to because it's no fun?
It's, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I'm the person who thinks of that as fun. Whack! Another spammer, whack!
Aha! I think you just revealed some personality characteristics, Dor.
They're trying to use up other people's space to do their own promotion. I think they kind of get what they have coming to them. So I don't have a problem with that.
Dor, you also mentioned the term evangelist, and that's something else that I know you've acted as an evangelist. Again, in a world of now internet marketing, social marketing, and all, where does the evangelist role fall?
I think you need to have somebody who is a public face for a company that is out there selling the product, selling the service, selling whatever it is, but doing it in a way that's personable and not what everybody thinks of as the, oh God, not another marketing droid.
Well, we've all seen those, and so I guess the question is, how do you get the message across in today's world? I think when Guy Kawasaki was doing it with Apple, and he's the one we always think about, he had a very different set of challenges. I'm not about to say it was easier or tougher then, because I think the challenges were just different. He was trying to get mind share where none existed before. Now, it seems like trying to get mind share, you're competing with so many people in every single space in the tech world that Apple can't even have the iPhone to itself. There are people always clamoring for that. Is it just a matter of developing that personality and being out there, or do you have a particular message that you try to get out, or what?
I always think of it from an empowerment point of view. How can I make these users more awesome? What can this product, this service, this feature set, this whatever, make users just better at what they do, more awesome at what they're accomplishing, make it take less time, make it take less frustration. So it's not just a matter of putting it out there, we're shipping Widget Power Pro 2000. It's a matter of why you care and what it's going to do for this target audience.
Dori, you're making this easy because you just came up with another word, why you care.
Mm-hmm.
Can you be an evangelist and demonstrate that genuine care, you think, or is that where the marketing droids fall down, that they're saying the right things but they clearly don't care?
Well, like they say, a real salesman can sell, ice boxes to Eskimos, and I'm not one of those. If I honestly think that what I'm selling can improve your life in some fashion, in any fashion, in some fashion, then I'm good at expressing that. Marketing droids, they're just there because they wanted a job as a marketer because it fit the skill set they had. And for some people, they can do that. I'm not one of those people. So you can be pretty sure if you're hearing it from me, if I'm telling you, this will improve your life, this is great, you got to check this out. It's because I honestly think that.
Well, I look, to shift back to the books for a second, I look at the books that you've produced.
Mm-hmm.
You've stuck with Dreamweaver for a long time. I mean, you've become a Dreamweaver expert. And
Mm-hmm.
so even though you may stare at the screen until blood comes out, you clearly believe that Dreamweaver can make a web designer's life better, easier, something, or you wouldn't be writing the book.
My books all tend to happen because I wish they existed. And I go and I look around to see what exists, and it doesn't exist yet. And I get frustrated because it doesn't exist. And then I end up talking to my publisher and saying, why haven't you done a book on this? And they say, want to write it? I say, oh, if I gotta. So I end up writing them because they don't exist and I want them to exist. And I figure I'm not the only person with that desire for these books to exist.
That may be the very best reason to write a book, do a podcast, create a website, create a piece of software. We hear so many times that some of the great software has been created for use in-house by people that just said, yeah, we wanted it, so we built it, and we were shocked to discover that the rest of the world wanted it too.
Wanted it too.
Yeah.
It's all about scratching your own itch, but then being open to the possibilities of what your new user community, how they want to see it grow and change.
Well, since you're looking for work as an evangelist, a community manager, what I get the impression that you're not just going to take anything that comes along. So what are your requirements for a client?
I want them to believe in their product the way they want me to believe in it. And because if they don't believe in it, the chances are pretty good that I'm not going to believe in it that way. And if I don't believe in it that way, I can't sell it worth a damn. And I'm not going to be able to approach the community in that fashion with an honest, here's why I think this is great for you. Here's why I think you need to stop and listen and check this out, because it's going to make your life better in some way. If you're just doing another, here's another pet-focused social media site where you can talk about your cat. Yeah. Do we need another one? Do we need another place where you can buy paperback books? We've got Barnes & Noble and we've got Amazon. Do we need another one? Not really. Not unless you've got some reason behind it that it's going to be great. So if you believe your product is great, then sell me on it. And if I believe your product is going to be great, then I want to come work for you. Because I want to go out and tell. I'm one of those people that I do this even if I don't work for you. I'm one of those people who goes around saying, you got to check this out. This is so cool. When I got my first Mac, I was the person carrying around my laptop, into everywhere I went, saying, you got to check this out. This is so cool. PowerBook 100, way back in those days.
Dori, what is it about us tech people? Because I think that at least part of what you're describing describes an awful lot of tech enthusiasts, and especially Mac people, obviously, because we're dyed in the wool in this regard. But it seems to be a character trait for so many of us that if we find a product that we like and we believe in, we do want to tell people. I guess we want to spread the joy. I don't know.
It's just that these things are so mind-bogglingly cool to us. We want to see other people's minds boggled as well. Different people are going to find different things cool. I once sat there at a Thanksgiving table and listened to my husband and my brother rave up and down about how their ScanSnaps changed their lives. I have a ScanSnap. I think it's pretty cool, but it hasn't changed my life. But I listened to the two of them. Neither one of them was paid by ScanSnap. Neither one of them, got the product for free for being an evangelist. But they both, were like almost jumping up and down, talking about how cool their ScanSnap Pro was. Oh, and that's great. And I love that enthusiasm from people. That was what made me decide to get my own ScanSnap, because I heard the two of them raving about how much they love theirs.
Yeah, well, on that note, there's one right back there. So.
I was pretty sure I recognized it in the background.
Yeah. But
has it changed your life?
Yeah, it has. It has. I can go on this rant, and ScanSnap is not a sponsor, but it has, because it makes scanning. It's a document scanner, and it scans so easily. And to me, it's really impressive when you can stick a stack of 20, 30, 40 pages in, hit the button, and walk away. Come back. It's not jammed. It's picked up every single one, and it's fed it into its software, and then in my case, it's sent it over to Devon Think Office Pro, or Pro Office, anyway. And it's all there. Just the way you want it, and it's made going paperless possible. And so, yeah, it has changed my life. There's no question about it.
And every person I've met, almost every person I've met who has one, they just cannot stop talking about how it is so wonderful and it has changed their lives. And they're doing that not because they're paid, not because they're even part of a community, but because they honestly want to tell people, this is a way to make yourself more awesome. This is a way to improve your life.
Yeah. So going back, I want to make sure that we do cover your qualifications, because you're not just saying, when I grow up, I want to be an evangelist or community manager. You've done this with some pretty notable clients, as I recall.
The last folks I worked for was a company called Stack Exchange, who are best known for having the website stackoverflow.com. I was community manager and technical evangelist for them, and it was fun because Stack Overflow is their best known site, and that one's just for hardcore programming geeks. But they actually had sites on a few dozen topics. So I got to do things like go to Science Fiction Worldcon, which is the Worldwide Science Fiction Convention, and hang out in the green room at the Science Fiction Convention and talk to all the authors and such about how they needed to come and check out our sites. If they had a question about science fiction, if they had a question about physics, if they had a question about chemistry, whatever, we had a site on their topic. And if they're trying to build up their new world in their latest book, it was a good place to come and get answers. And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would think so.
But there was also a certain amount of just community management too, getting rid of slapping down spammers, things like that. So there's a little bit of everything, and I found I liked doing a little bit of everything. Keeps you fresh.
I know it's pointless just to ask for a quantitative answer, but I think it's safe to say that these things take time. They take some thought. They take some time. Good old-fashioned elbow grease, I guess digital elbow grease, to actually accomplish some of this stuff. So it's just not something that you can do as one more thing to help market yourself.
If you're an indie developer, then yeah, it's just going to be you. But after you're hiring a few people, you're going to want somebody to help you out with that.
Same thing for social media. And I know that's not, we've talked about that, but we've sort of danced around it, because you don't hear that much about community managers anymore, but you do hear about social media managers, social media consultants. So, that's, I guess, the new title or the new version of the title, but at the end of the day, it's all the same.
Most social media managers are people who've been on Twitter 6 months and who suddenly start calling themselves social media experts. Find out how long they've actually been on Twitter. Ask them for their Twitter ID number. If they don't know what that is, they're useless. If it's a very high number, they've just come along.
All right, give us some inside scoop. How high a number is a high number?
Oh, they're up in the billions now.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
Easily billions.
So if you can find somebody with 3, you're doing really good.
3-digit number?
No, I meant 3. The number 3.
The number 3. Yeah. You've got somebody who actually works for Twitter. Yeah. No, if you can find somebody under 1 million, you're doing great.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Speaking of somebody under 1 million.
Well, Dori, for folks who want to get in touch with you and maybe retain your services for social media, community manager, evangelist, whatever, what's the best place to send them to so they can contact you?
It's a little out of date, sadly, but probably my website, which is dori.com, Dori.com.
And of course, you're on Twitter as well.
I'm on Twitter at Dori, Dori, again. Facebook as Dori Smith, because they don't let you have 4-digit or 4-character names, unfortunately, on Facebook. So I had to go with Dori Smith. And most of the social media sites.
Great. And the new book will be, got to get it right, Dreamweaver CC Visual QuickStart Guide.
by Tom Negrino and Dori Smith.
You got to give Tom credit.
I got to give Tom his credit. He's lead author.
Yeah. Well, Dori, it's great to talk to you. Thank you so much for exploring this issue with us a little bit, and best of luck. And folks, if you need somebody, you could do a whole lot worse than Dori.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Chuck.
Folks, I'll have links in the show notes to Dori's site, to Dori's Twitter presence, Facebook presence, a little bit of everything, and eventually to the new book as soon as we can find a link to stick it on there. Until the next time, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for links, show notes, to subscribe, to connect with Chuck on Twitter, app.net, Google+, Facebook, and for more Apple, Mac, and tech-related shows, including Mac Voices, Mac Notables, the Mac Jury, and the Mac Voices Briefing. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com.